Hello everyone. This is video number 3 on lean target costing and the productivity. In this video, I will cover the productivity or the last learning outcomes or the last learning objectives, which related to productivity. Explain what productivity is, calculate the impact of productive change on profits. So I will move on to what productivity is as usual. So what does it mean, productivity? Productivity is concerned with producing output efficiently, and is it specifically addresses the relationship of output and the input used to produce the output. So productivity is a relationship between inputs and the outputs. So what we used to do, we used to have a number of inputs, material, labor, something like energy, whatever, to produce the output. So what we used to do, we used to add all the inputs together and then link them to the output. But what research has realized, or researchers has realized, that if something went wrong, we don't know, what is the reason for that. Whether it's because of the material, whether it's because of the energy, whether it's because of the labor. So we did not have a clue what is related in each input. And this is why they said, okay, we have to do productivity per item. So total productivity efficiency is the point which two conditions are kind of satisfied. There is a mix of inputs, which again, as I mentioned, material, labor, energy, whatever, will produce a given or specific output. No more of any one input is used than necessary to produce the output. Of course, if you use more material, if you use more energy, this will affect badly or negatively the output. Given the mixes, that's why the first condition, at least mostly mix as chosen. And then, so again, I'm repeating myself. What used to happen is just adding all, or putting all the inputs together, put them all together and link them to the output. But the main disadvantage, the main criticism about this, we don't know who is responsible for what. This is why they said, research, and because we are in social science and the rest of it, researchers saying, no, we have to calculate what's it called partial productivity measurement. What does it mean, partial? Means that for each input, we are linking each input to the output. So we link material to the output, we link labor to the output, we link energy to the output, we link electricity to the output. Each input, each one item of the inputs, we link them separately to the output. And this is why it's called partial productivity ratio or partial productivity measurement, where both inputs and outputs are expressed in physical, and this is why we are calculating that. I will leave profit linkage now, because this will we really need to understand the partial productivity first before understanding the profit linked productivity measurement. So I will go. There's a specific question here for that's of course will be available on Moodle with you, as I've put them on one file. So you will have one question about target costing, and the second question about the productivity. So in the second question, it's a pure company. Let me have a wee look here. We might be able to understand this or read this more clear. So it says here, AH company decided to install an automated manufacturing system. The decision to automate was made because of the promise to reduce the use of material and labor inputs. After 1 year of operation, management wants to evaluate the productivity change. The president of this particular company is particularly interested in knowing whether the trade-off between labor, material, capital was favorable or not. Data concerning output, labor, material, and the capital are provided. for the year before and after the implementation. So we always, for this particular type of question, you will get 2 years. One is the base year or previous year and following year. So 2 years, following each other. It might be the base, 1 year, 2016, and then 2018. But anyway, there are two separate years, or the information will provide it to you based on 2 separate years. And what the information will be provided, you will get the output for the 2 years, you will get inputs for the information about the inputs separately. So you will get information about material, information about labor, information about capital. In some other question, you will get more about energy, electricity, whatever the inputs are. Because here we are really wanted to link, or calculate partial productivity ratios, or partial productivity measures, where or in which we are linking each input to the output. And in terms of the inputs and outputs, we are providing some quantity and some prices as well. So we have this question in front of us and required to calculate the partial productivity ratios. To calculate the partial productivity ratios, it's very important to let you know that we will do it for the 2 years separately. So the partial ratios, we will do a ratio, a partial productivity ratio for each item or for each input. So we calculate one for material, one for labor, one for capital, based on the inputs available to you. And then we do the same for the following year. So we for each measure, for each input, we are going to calculate partial productivity ratio for the item or for the input over 2 years. So let's see what does this mean. We have here the output. Of course, the output will be the same in every one of them, because we have the output for base year or for last year or for whatever is 200. We are dividing this by 50. This is for labor, as you can see here from the question, and we divide this by 10,000 for labor, and we divide this by 10,000 for capital. So we get 42020, and then we are going to do the same, exactly the same with the current year. We have, but the only thing we are going to change, or that we are going to implement the same thing but different figures. So we take the output for the current year, which is 240, where I get this one from. Here is the 240, and we divide this by the inputs, or the quantity of the inputs for each one of them, for material, for labor, for capital. So it will be 6 for material for the current year, and then it will be 60 for labor, and then it will be 0.4 for capital. Of course, when I bring this in the final exam situation, final exam questions, something like 100% of students will get this absolutely correct. Very easy, very straightforward. Partial productivity ratio. You go for each column, you link the output to each input separately. You get a figure or a ratio for each one of these output. You do the same with the following year. That's it, sorted, straightforward, easy, busy, no problems. The issue is when it comes to calculate the second part. In the second part of the question, which is really very important, we are going to say or to calculate what's it called profit linked measurement. Let's read here what profit linked rule is. For the current period, calculate the cost of the input that would have been used in the absence of any productivity change, and compare this cost with the cost of the input actually used. The difference between both of them in cost is the amount of which profit it changed because of the productivity change. I bet you know this is so complicated, but let's explain this in too much details. I have tried my best here to put everything in colors as usual, just to let you understand what I mean. We create this big table, and by the way, I will not provide you with the layout in the final exam. Of course, I'm going to speak about the final exam later on in the revision classes, and you know, communicating between providing you with instructions on the online exam, etc. But anyway, we have 3 inputs: material, labor, capital in this particular question, right? Material, labor, capital. This is not a standard. Sometimes some other questions I can bring you more inputs, so you might find the four items classified as inputs, or 5 items. So please look for that, because what used to happen, if I bring in the final exam or in the tutorial question 4 items, students only focus on the 3 because they trained or they looked at the item that we have done in class. But anyway, so we have the first part is we are dealing here second part, or second answer, or second section, or the second part of the question. We are focusing on the current year. Okay, everything will be on the current year. The only thing that we are taking some figures related to last year is column number 2. So material, labor, capital, we are going here to link the output of this year or the current year, which is 240. I hope you understand that this is 240 for all of them, because the output is the same for all the material that we used. But we are going to divide that by divided by the current. These are the partial productivity ratio of last year. This is why it's called linkage. We are going to link them together. We are going to link some figures from last year with some figures of this year. So we start with the output of this year, and we link this to the partial productivity ratio of last year. Okay, so this is the first part. So we have here output for the current year is 240, and the partial productivity ratio of base year was 4 for material, 20 for labor, 20 for capital, and this will give us 60, 12, and 12. Where I get this one from? 240 divided by 4, 240 divided by 20, 240 divided by 20. That means we got 60, 12, 12. When it comes to use the prices, you always use the price for the recent year. I don't know, it might be unfortunately, or for confusing or whatever. For this particular question, the prices for both base year and the current year are the same. Okay, but definitely in other different questions, prices will be different. So the rule is to use the prices for the recent year, which means you have to use the prices of this kind of column. That's for the current year or base year, or for the current year, or for the existing year, or for the recent year, because it might be the question will not be base year, current year, it might be last year and this year, or it might be. But so the rule is you use the prices for recent year. Okay, prices for recent year: 2 for material, 5 for labor, 15% for capital. Okay, you multiply them, do the calculation, very simple calculation. You get 60,000 times 2, 120, 12,000 times 5, 60, 12,000 times 15% will give you 1,800. Okay, and then the second part of the question is you go and get the quantity, the actual quantity of the current year. Actual quantity of the current year for the same material, labor, capital. So again, from this column, 44,600, right? That means always the price, and again you use the price, multiplying by the price, and again I've put here in red, always use the price of the recent year, which is 2, 5, and 15%. You will get these figures. All you have to do is just to compare between both of them. You will get this figure. I will put up the PowerPoint again, and just to let you understand whether this makes sense or not. So profit, even from its name, profit linkage rule. That means because it's named linkage, that means we are going to link some figures from different years together. We are going to link the base year or last year with this year with the following year. For the current period, which is this one, for the current period, calculate the cost of the input that would have used in absence of any productivity change. This is where we linked the output of the current year with the partial productivity ratios of last year, and then do the calculation, compare between both of them. The difference in cost is amount is the difference between because of the productivity. Okay, perfect. Okay, I've put here, I've put it without all colors again, just for explanation. Okay, if I ask you to comment on the results, okay, commenting on the results, we can comment on the first part of the question, which is we calculated only the partial productivity ratio. Partial productivity ratio for material was 4, become 6, and it's very easy to explain that because output for base year was 200 and the output for the current year increased to become 240, and also material for base year was 50 becomes 40. Okay, moving to the labor was 20 because we had the output was 200 divided by 10, and for the current year was 60. Okay, because the output increased. The last one, which is capital, 200 and divided by 10 was 20 in the base year, and then was 0.4 in the current year. However, you can hang on for a second here because you can see, yeah, okay, this is a kind of a basic analysis, but is there something we can, from all the topics that we covered, we can just try to comment on here? Because definitely there is something going on, something happened that will affect both the output comparing with base year, comparing with the current year, and affecting material, labor, and capital. Okay, so when I ask this question in front of students, sometimes students saying, oh yeah, capital increased. Yeah, yes, absolutely. I'm 100% agree with you. Any reason? Any justification? Can I give you a clue here or a hint here? If we say that company, this particular company might implement a just-in-time system, okay? Just-in-time system means this uses this capital to develop or build this manufacturing cell, etc. And building this manufacturing cell or implementing just-in-time system, that means instead of using material in the base year 50,000, is used only 40. This is back to the efficiency because they had a kind of developed a long relationship with suppliers just to provide them with a high quality material, which means a defect-free material. Also, when it comes to labor, they only focus on skilled labor because if you remember this manufacturing cell and the just-in-time cell, etc., this will affect on that. It might be they used only the skillful people that they can work on in a multi skills and multi jobs under the manufacturing cell under just-in-time. So it might be, this is what I really trying my best here to let you understand and pick up the connection and the linkage, etc. Yes, you use other kind of topics. It might here you might say here that the company used this capital in investing in quality improvement program. Investing in quality improvement program definitely also will affect material and will affect labor. So I would really need you to think outside the picture. It's not because this topic is related to productivity you cannot bring in quality or environmental or balanced scorecard or just in time. They are, all of them are connected to each other. So this is the comment I would really like to see when you have a question like this and you comment on the when I ask a comment on the previous results. You might say here you comment about the quantity and you comment about the prices as well. So it might be for other questions like that. You might see that the prices are different for previous year comparing with current year. So you have to provide all of this. I think that's me. I would really again wanted to say again, I would love to see you face to face. Hopefully, if everything, hopefully, if everything went back to normal, go back to normal by September, September 2021, I will be more than happy to go. Although I'm not teaching in the fourth year because I'm more but I will definitely go and say hello and say bye bye and say, you know, just to see you face to face. Good luck, all the best, and I will definitely see you again soon, and definitely I will arrange some revision session to revise for MA3 before the exam. Good luck and all the best.